Hello, let's begin again. So finally we're going to finish up here with the basics of circles, and this time we're going to talk about the angles in a circle. So we're finishing up talking about the basics. All right, CONTD, continued, and we're talking about angles is what's important to us now. There are basically two types of angles, and from these angles, they're going to form different pieces of space inside of our circle. So the first angle, let's make circle O again. We like circle O. We name it circle O a lot. Let's imagine that on circle O, I have an angle formed like this, where it's formed right there off of the center. This point out here will be P, and this point out here we can call Q. I'm just making that up. This would be angle POQ or QOP, whichever way you would like to name it, and it is known as a central angle. Central angle, like angle POQ. This central angle is called a central angle because O is the vertex of the angle, which is the center. So it just goes right along with the name. It's a central angle. And we talked about arc measures before. Let's bring that into this whole idea. The arc measure out here would be the same as this arc or this angle measurement of the central angle. So let's just say we knew that this were 70 degrees. It looks kind of about that wide. If I knew that that was 70 degrees, then this arc PQ out here will also be 70 degrees. Let's talk about parts of this, and I'm going to change the coloring here for a second too. If I had a let's see. Here we go. Okay, let's say if I were to outline, I'm going to outline this whole section here in green, if you can see that. This section that I'm outlining here in green, that looks like a slice of pizza, is known as a sector. The sector is formed by the central angle and the arc that meets that central angle. The arc PQ will be what we call subtends, or is the intercepted arc. So I'll write that down just so that you can see that. Arc PQ is the intercepted arc. All right, it's the arc that meets that particular central angle. So an intercepted arc is an arc, or it's actually a term that'll be very important to you when in terms of being able to understand word problems and that kind of thing. So this intercepted arc to this central angle is arc PQ, and that whole area in there, if I were to shade in that whole green area, it would be called the sector. So I've color coded it green because I'm going to have to put another thing inside of here to denote another little piece that is known as, so now I'm going to use, not to look like Christmas or anything, I'm going to use red. There we go. So now if I were to break this off and have just this little space in here, I'm going to actually color in shade. That piece right there is known as a segment. Okay, it's a segment of a circle. So a segment in this case is not talking about like a line segment, like OP is a segment, but this segment is a piece of the sector. So you have a lot of things going on. You have the central angle. You have the central angle, which would be called angle POQ, made by the center of the circle. You have a sector, which can be named in any order. Sometimes I see it named OPQ or POQ, but it is this piece that looks like a piece of pizza or a slice of pizza or a slice of pie, something like that. And then you have this arc PQ, which would be known as the intercepted arc. And finally, if you draw a segment or you break off the line segment PQ here, you make a break there using the line segment PQ, you form a shaded area, which is also known as a segment. So 4 types of things going on there with that central angle. In addition to that, you have what's called an inscribed angle. So that's the next type of angle. And it has less involvement than that central angle did. So the inscribed angle, let's talk about the inscribed angle. Inscribed angle, which is formed like this. Let's say if I had a chord like that, and then I had another chord that went like that. This angle is on the inside of the circle. The back part of the angle, angle's inside, and the back part of the angle touches the inside of the circle. So this would be called an inscribed angle. I'm going to name the points here, M, R, and N. So we get good practice naming this. We can name this angle MRN. Of course, it could also be named angle NRM. It's an angle inside of the circle that touches the backside of the circle like this. And then that word intercepted arc is also here again. You have the intercepted arc, that is MN, is the arc that touches or closes in that angle from the circle. So you have another intercepted arc. MN is the intercepted arc. Okay. One other thing that I just want to point out that may not be quite as obvious here. I'm noting this as the intercepted arc of this inscribed angle. I also noted PQ as the intercepted arc of this angle POQ because I was looking at this 70-degree angle in here. I could kind of flip this whole thing around and think of it as the Pac-Man piece back here. Ignore angle MRN, but this Pac-Man piece, if I treated that as the angle, it's more than an obtuse angle. It's very big. It goes all the way around. You see right here, it goes all the way around. Then the intercepted arc would be arc P, let's say MQ. I could pick any one of these, N, M, and R all the way around. Those are 3 points that go in between P and Q if you go in that direction. So I could say PNQ or PMQ or PRQ. Any one of those would also be considered an intercepted arc in this case. And the final thing that I need to point out is just like there was a relationship here, 70-degree arc, 70-degree central angle. It's a similar type situation on this side. Let's say if this were a 40-degree arc, then this would be a 20-degree angle. So it turns out that the intercepted arc is half of the angle. We're going to talk more about that in later lessons, but that is the relationship between the intercepted arc and its the inscribed angle and its intercepted arc, and then the central angle and its intercepted arc. All right, that concludes the basics of circles. Let's get to some problem solving. See you in the next lesson.